I'd been involved in that on the ground and in the air, and I'd gone through to Rome. And my job, really, after the fall of the city, was to keep in touch with the members of the Italian resistance. Some of my family, indeed, were in the Italian resistance, and also to find and put away, in one way or another, the SS and Gestapo people in Rome and around it.
I understand that you had several close calls over there. What were some of the more dangerous situations you were involved in?
Well, I was attached to some very strange units at one time or another, like Popsky's Private Army, the Special Air Service, the Long Range Desert Group, various commando groups, and so on. So one was bound to have a few close calls during 5 years. I think what comes to mind is once when I parachuted into Yugoslavia, there was the wrong reception committee waiting, which is not very encouraging. Secondly, I was almost finished off when I was shaving one morning by a sniper who put that straight through my mirror. It was rather silly of me to have it because it caught the reflections of the sun, but it was close. And then there was another occasion when I was arrested and very nearly shot by the United States Army in Tunisia.
By the United States Army?
Yes, yes. I was driving a sand-colored vehicle which had come over from the Western Desert, and the U.S. Army had never seen this particular colored camouflage because in Algeria it was brown and green. And the Deutsche Afrika Korps, the German army in the Western Desert, had the same sand-colored camouflage. And there was I wearing a blue hat and blue jersey without any badges of rank. And they stopped us at a roadblock with machine guns, and it was only the timely intervention of a British naval officer that possibly saved me from, well, who knows?
Who knows, indeed. How would you describe the feelings you get when you reminisce about those days during the war? And as you answer, perhaps you can get up and show us some of the things that you're sitting among there, some of the artifacts.
Yes, well, the first one is purely personal. That was what I wore in those days. I can still get into it, but I can't button it. And this is the famous Norden bomb site, which at one time was one of the top secret elements of World War II. I'd heard about it, I'd never actually seen one until this morning, which enabled the United States Air Force to bomb in any kind of weather, through cloud, through anything at all, mist, fog. And this, of course, is the uniform of a German general, and I'm glad to say that this was the nearest I ever got to one.
I imagine 40 years ago you saw quite a, not maybe the general's uniform, but surely many of his soldiers' uniforms or the Nazi uniforms in all of the fighting that was taking place.
One did see them indeed, yes. One certainly did. One tried to keep as far away as possible, but sometimes they got a little closer than you expected them to.
Christopher, when people reminisce about D-Day, I often hear them discussing the enormous amount of noise and the intensity of it all. Do you think back and can you recall those moments?
Well, as I said earlier, I wasn't involved in the invasion of Normandy.
The combat,
yes,
combat you were involved in.
There's no question about it. And I was present at the Battle of Alamein when they opened up with the biggest artillery barrage that had never been heard in the war at the time. It was unbelievable. It went on for hour after hour after hour at night in the dark, and all you could see were the tremendous flashes from the guns and this appalling noise. And then, of course, there was the bombing and the attack on Monte Cassino, which I mentioned earlier on, because 3 times the Air Force attacked Monte Cassino. The noise, as you can imagine there, was quite beyond belief. In fact, truly, I've done a lot of movies in which there have been special effects and explosions and things like that. I cannot stand physically the sound of too big an explosion. It actually hurts my ears, and it could very well come from that period of time.
Are there some more things you can share with us there that you're seated near, something you can grab and hold up perhaps from that period that we're discussing this morning?
I can't grab the bomb sight because it's too heavy to lift. And well, these are binoculars used by German journalists. But I didn't think I can lift up. I can't lift him up.
What are some of the other things there at Bob's Military Antiques
Oh,
and
he
War
has an
Museum?
incredible collection. I've been coming here for some time. He has an amazing collection of documents signed by Hitler and all the Nazi leaders, and also Japanese and Italian and other forces decorations over the years from World War I and World War II. I've never seen a collection to rival it anywhere, not only the books, but the uniforms and the medals and decorations and patches and badges of rank and so on, going back, oh, a very, very long time. Swords, daggers, commando daggers, and really remarkable collection.
Who buys that stuff, Christopher? Veterans or young people who are curious?
I think both. I think veterans perhaps want to keep things as mementos. I know that, for instance, in my case, I didn't keep many of the various patches or rank badges that I had. I wish I had kept them. I have a few, but I think veterans who've lost theirs or mislaid them want to have it as a memory of those days. You can't ever forget those days, although it does seem a little like it happened to somebody else. The young are also very fascinated, I find, by war of any kind all over the world throughout history, and sometimes they have a very personal interest with their parents and grandparents, and sometimes it's just that they're collectors and interested in memorabilia from war, military memorabilia. Not an easy word to get out there.
No, no. Christopher Lee, thank you so much sharing your experiences with us this morning. Also, congratulations to yourself and Jimmy Baker of our staff here for the Emmy Award that you folks collaborated on for the Swashbuckler documentary we ran here on Channel 7. Again, thank you so very much. By the way, the military antiques, we're all going to seed here. The Military Antiques and War Museum is located in Santa Monica. We'll be right back and find out what's going on with Dee Wallace. So stay with us, please.